What's up, guys? Over the last year, as you may know, or maybe you don't know, based on the new platform, I've had some really cool opportunities to sit down with different experts in the hockey industry, from coaches and different people in development, to get some different perspectives on a lot of things that we're dealing with every day as coaches, as players, and as parents. And one of the most important partnerships I've built in order to be able to do that is with Matterhorn Fit and the great network that they have through their All-Ivy Showcase, and now building up to the All Path series that we're running in Canada. So the content that I'm going to continue releasing to you guys was from that event last year. I had a whole bunch of interviews. Some of the content I've posted before, and you may have seen it in a different form, and some of it I'm still sitting on and haven't released just yet. So today's episode, I'm going to combine two shorter pieces of some of the content I got at the All-Ivy Showcase last year. The first piece is going to be with Matt Gilroy, who's the assistant coach now at Harvard, and the other is with Jason Guerrero, who works with USA Hockey. Matt's story gives a really unique player perspective, telling his own story, moving up to college hockey, and then now as a coach, the mindset, the work ethic, long-term thinking required to navigate the space, and what he looks for now with Harvard. And from there, we zoom out to kind of a broader viewpoint with Jason. Jason Guerrero, again, brings insight from the USA Hockey side, breaking down how players actually grow day to day, why unscripted play and dealing with adversity really matter, and how families can support development without rushing to outcomes. He has a really cool perspective working within USA Hockey because he has a ton of different things that he's doing every day, kind of boots on the ground at some of the lower levels as well. Together, I'm hoping these two conversations complement each other in providing a real specific look at the college hockey experience, working your way up to pro and kind of what recruiters are looking for, and then zooming all the way down to some of the younger age groups and what development actually looks like and what things are important. So I'm going to roll these pieces. You might hear a little bit of my voiceovers from past content that we used before, but I'm going to roll them together uninterrupted, and hopefully it gives you guys a real cool perspective. These are the kinds of people that you're able to interact with if you're fortunate enough to attend the Matterhorn Fit All Path series. So that Ontario event, again, is May 15th to 18th, 2026. And it's almost sold out. So for those players that are attending, these are the kinds of guys that you're going to run into, different coaches and people in the industry that can really help support, answer questions, and get you on the right path and the right track for you as an individual. So I hope you guys enjoy this. There's going to be a lot more of this style content to come. So let me know what you think about it. Matt, thanks for coming on, man.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
So is this your first year being at the event?
First year of college coaching, and known Ryan my whole life, but first time being part of the event.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So this was my first time coming down too. What were your kind of like initial thoughts? I know it's only been the day and a half, but kind of what are your thoughts on it so far?
I've seen it online, but it doesn't do it justice when you're down here. I've known Ryan since I was probably a mite. He was a little bit older than me growing up in Long Island, but not surprised that him and Kate could put something together like this.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah. So talk a little bit about your playing career leading up into coaching. You told on the panel thing yesterday, you were talking kind of a little bit about your story, which I thought was awesome.
I think I have a crazy story. I'm kind of these kids' position. I aged out and was doing all the showcases, trying to get noticed. And finally, my last year of juniors, I got on the EJHL, which is no longer, but I had a great coach. I think that's huge to play for a guy who's going to support you and call schools for you, not just send random emails, but a guy who's really going to advocate for you. And Coach Sweeney at the Walpole Stars did a great job my last year. And my last year at juniors, BU was in the rink, and I had a hat trick. And kind of from there, I was a forward. They needed a practice defenseman. Chris Bork had left to sign with Washington, so I became friends with Borky, and I thank him all the time for leaving. So there was a spot open at BU for me, and I was able to walk on as a practice. The promise was that if I could walk on the first year, if I played well, maybe they moved me to forward. And I kind of just ran with the opportunity as a defenseman there, playing for the legendary coach Jack Parker, the Terriers. And I sat 4 games and then kind of ran with the opportunity after that. And things kind of steamrolled after that. Played really well, played with some really good guys there. Great coaches, David Quinn, who's been in the NHL now, Mike Davis, supported me and playing for legend Jack Parker. And my senior year, I was the captain, won the Hobey Baker and the national championship. So it was a special trip. And then that week I signed with the New York Rangers. So it was a pretty special week.
How long were you playing pro after that?
I played 5 years in the NHL and then 4 in Russia and 1 in Switzerland.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So you've kind of been around the world, kind of, at least from a playing perspective, before you got into coaching. And then what was your track back getting into the coaching side?
Got to see the world, got to meet everyone from Russia. You travel and through different countries, and Switzerland was great. My last year, got to represent my country in the 2018 Olympics. Got to play some world championships. And then I came back. My wife was living in Los Angeles, kind of retired, doing absolutely nothing. And she kind of told me, you got to do something with your life. I'm 36 years old. So tried the business world. COVID kind of shut it down. I came home after a few interviews, and why not get into hockey? And I talked to some friends, and they got me in touch with the U.S. development program in Plymouth, Michigan, and was able to coach there for 2 years. Great experience. You get to work with the best kids in their age group of the 06 I was with for 2 years. Got to learn about coaching, development, everything. And then last year I took the step into college hockey at Harvard University.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's your role with Harvard now?
So Harvard, I coach defense in games. I'm in control of like the defensive zone, defensive play, and the PK, and help with recruiting.
Cool. So I guess in all your years of playing and now going through coaching, what have you noticed about how the game is developed? I noticed like yesterday, everybody, and even this morning, a lot of the coaches talking, it's about the speed, how fast it is. But more from a recruiting standpoint, what are some of the things that you think stand out with the young kids that you guys are looking at today? And maybe in terms of a strength, and then maybe something that you think is missing or lacking with some of these kids that you're looking at.
We're in a unique position at Harvard. We need academics and good hockey players. So the first questions we ask are, how are your grades? Let's see your transcripts and your test scores. Like, we need SAT, we need ACT. So kind of eliminates guys right away. We could be in love with the player, but if he doesn't match up with our academic standards, we have to move on pretty quickly. So the pool gets a little smaller for us, but there are a lot of good guys in hockey that take care of their grades and stuff. So we kind of, when we're on a recruiting trip, that's our first thing, is we got to find out grades and test scores, and then we select our pool from there. But now we're looking for Coach Donato at Harvard. He's always had an offensive team, kids who can play fast, think the game, want to be good, get better, and develop. And those are the kids we're looking at showcases like this. Can they play fast? Are they creative out there? Do they want to play offense? And I think Coach has had a great structure for 20 plus years at Harvard. He's developed a lot of NHLers. I've come through the program, and that's kind of what we're looking for.
Yeah. What does recruiting look like for you guys? So you, obviously being in the unique position at Harvard, when you're going out and looking at kids, first of all, how involved are you in the actual going to the rinks to recruit process? And then second, whether you are or aren't, what does it look like when you go to the rink? If you don't have a particular player necessarily that you're there to see and you're just kind of watching the game, what are some of the things that maybe you look for?
I mean, the first guy, so I look a lot at the defenseman, and if a guy can make a first pass is huge. If he's trying to go end-to-end every play, like, that's not going to translate to college and pro hockey. Like, I want to see a guy who can move a puck, jump in seams, deliver pucks to the net, break pucks out, defend with his feet. You got to defend now. The ECAC hockey, it's really tight hockey. There's not a lot of room out there. So guys who are willing to go win a battle in the corner, things like that, I'm looking for on the defensive side. And offensive, we're looking for guys who can support the play, who can drive pucks down deep, make plays, make those tight plays in front of the net, around the net, find a late guy, a defenseman, like, not scoring goals every single shift. We would love guys but that's not realistic. But guys who can play a team game and play with some pace.
So my last thing, I think, for you, being at Harvard and then maybe reflecting on your own playing career, what do you think, looking back, maybe like what was your favorite moment through all of that time for you personally? And then my second question is going to be, what is your kind of favorite thing about the position you're in now as a coach, being involved with like some of these kids?
Yeah, I think about all the games I got. One of my best memories is my first college hockey game. I had no idea where this journey was taking me, but I got to play against the U.S. national team. It was an exhibition game, 4 games into my freshman year. I had never played a game on defense, and I got thrown out there and just kind of ran with it. And it was just good memories. My parents coming up, getting to play at Aganis Arena for the BU Terriers was a great accomplishment in itself. And then just being a part of it and being able to run with it has been great. And then I got into coaching. Like, I had a lot of good people who helped me along the way. A lot of people who believed in me and taught me things and supported me, and hopefully I can do that for a handful of kids each year or a group of guys. Like, I'm just here to help, and was able to live it and make hockey my life and could still do that. So I'm very grateful for that, and hopefully I help a lot of young guys along the way.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, this has been it's been awesome hearing you and like the other coaches kind of share some insight, and hopefully the kids that get to be a part of it feel like they're being educated. It's not just a fun weekend, but they actually get to learn a lot about the different programs, right?
Yeah, I think that's what Ryan's big message is. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and it's hard for kids now. There's so much Like, I remember when I was coming up, there was maybe one list that you posted and you were on that team. Now there's podcasts, there's agents, there's advisors. It's like, it's crazy how the market is and how much people make off this market. And I think there's a lot of bad people in it, but Ryan and Kate have done an excellent job. They're in it for the right reasons. They don't even have kids involved yet. They have 2 girls. Their little kid Charlie's, I think, 10. He's going to play in the brick tournament. They just see a hole in the whole market, and they've been doing an unbelievable job the last couple of years, and I'm happy to be a part of it this year.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you taking a couple minutes. I know we're running around a lot, so thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. Thanks. All right, Jason, what's going on, man?
Nothing. Down in Florida. Excited.
Yeah, you've been here a few years.
Yeah, so I started the first year when it happened in 2020. So I've been here 5 years in a row.
So what are your, I guess, thoughts on the event? Because you've been now in like various roles as you've been here. So kind of what are just some thoughts of what you think of it and maybe some of the value that you think it might have to some of the families and the kids that are here?
Yeah, so it's funny. When we first started, I was working at Brown. So I was working at Ivy. It was like the All-Ivy Showcase. And it was during COVID. So it was actually a great opportunity for the kids, because a lot of kids in the prep schools weren't playing. So they were looking for ice. And it seems like, COVID didn't even happen down in Florida. There wasn't many rules. So Ryan did a great job of starting it here. And there's been, to be honest, like, long story short, like he got some great players here, and it turned into like a legit recruiting event where now it's something where, as college coaches, we mark it on our calendar like we should probably be here because there's good players. There's players that have gone Division I. There's kids that have signed in the NHL. So it's not just, him and Kate do a great job of the event, but the quality of hockey players is worth our time as college coaches. Obviously, I'm not coaching college anymore, but to be down here. And for me now, working with USA Hockey and having the privilege to be able to coach our Five Nations team this summer, which is the 09 birth year, there's always kids, and I see the list, and I'm like, all right, there's a few kids that, are going to be in Buffalo for our player development camps that I need to keep an eye on. So it just worked out. And Ryan and I were in each other's wedding party, so it's super, our worlds collide from a, friendship and then the business side of it from
that's
so
awesome.
It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Talk a little bit about that. Like, how has your role developed? So take us through a little bit of your your playing career, and then how that translated into coaching, and then now with the US program.
Yeah. So undersized, 5'6" guy. So you got to find a way, right? But going through the process as a younger kid, I was very fortunate to have some really good coaches. There was a gentleman named John Tonelli who won 4 Stanley Cups with the Islanders, and Rich Hansen, Sr., who was in the organization at that time. And they were, when we were younger, like playing, 14U, 15U at the time, or 16U, we were kind of, not looking back on it, we were doing things from a development side, a piece, like the small areas and who can make plays in tight areas, way back before, it became like a staple for USA Hockey. So I didn't realize that was all happening. And then you kind of fast forward, I went through the development camps, made 15s, made 16s, made 17s, was just short of making our national program. And it started out in the 80 and 81 birth year. I'm an 81 birth year. And, just like any kid, you don't make it and you have that fire. And I fast forward, I ended up playing junior hockey, but then I got, at the time it was called the Viking Cup, which now I think it's similar to what it's like the World Junior A Challenge, what they do now. So I made that, and so it was actually really, really interesting and fascinating, because you think that you're never going to be able to represent your country, and then all of a sudden, I'm 19 years old, and like, wow, I have this opportunity. And then you fast forward after the playing career, playing college hockey at Northeastern and then playing 7 years professional, last year, I was able to represent our country and coach our youth Olympic team. So it's just an amazing path. And I love the job that I have now because growing up, it was all about development, right? And finding a way as a smaller guy, things that you need to do. And it's everything that I believe in. So I'm very fortunate that I got the job, and it's just timing wise. And it was hard to leave college hockey. I was at my alma mater where I played college hockey at Northeastern. So, but you know, I'm happy where I'm at and super excited to be in this role now.
Yeah. So what is the role? So exactly on like a day to day, like outlining kind of your day to day activity and what it means to be in charge of development. And this is a key term that I'll ask you a little bit more about afterwards. But what exactly does that look like for you day to day?
Yeah. So day to day. With USA Hockey, there's 12 districts in the country for USA Hockey, and the districts that I'm responsible for, there's 5 other managers, if you want to call it that, for USA Hockey that do the same thing. We each pretty much have 2 districts. So that's 6, that's 2 each, that's 12. My territory is New England and Massachusetts. Massachusetts is its own district within the country. Like Minnesota's its own district, Michigan's its own district, New York it's its own district. So those 4 states are actually their own districts, and it's all off of the number of youth hockey players, right? But the day to day is anywhere within those 2 districts. I'm in a rink with any program from learn to skate all the way up to 21 years old, right? So I can be in a rink with little kids trying to teach them learn to play, learn to skate. And then I could be running a clinic on talking about, body contact at the 14-year-old age. So it varies from a development standpoint. So it's obviously the message, the 6-year-olds is going to be completely different than what we're trying to do with the 16-year-old, right? So, and which was hard for me in the beginning because I've only coached college hockey. I went from working construction for my dad, playing college hockey, playing pro hockey, to coaching hockey. So now communicating how I communicate to a college kid is completely different how I'm going to reel in 55 7-year-olds that are on the ice. So there was a lot of training that I had to take when I first got on board with USA Hockey, but it's been very eye-opening, and I wish I had this training before I got into coaching college because it's taught me how to communicate to kids. But we have so many youth hockey players in our country that there's so much room for growth of development for our kids. Like I truly feel that we're just kind of scratching the surface because we have the most youth hockey players in the world that we should dominate the world stage, but we aren't. We're very good and we've made great strides, but there's so much room for growth with our younger players. So, I'm not going to see any results like when I was at Northeastern anytime soon, but guys like myself and guys in the past who have, paved the way are making a difference in the future for these kids that are 6, 7 years old. Keep them in the sport. It's all about long player development. It's not, I say to parents, like, would you rather just drive a Ferrari right now or invest in your 401k so when you retire, you're set, right? So it's not, yes, we want to find that balance between winning and development at the younger age, but it's all about long player development. How long we can keep kids in the sport because they're having fun, and over time they're going to keep developing, and that's a big part of my job. Yeah. The day-to-day is in the ranks a lot.
Yeah. So one of the things that I am fascinated by, just as a guy that's more or less like studies the various different areas of hockey, whether we're in Canada or we're in the US, I'm starting to look a lot at some of these European development systems and all of that. If you had to maybe point out some of the differences or specifically about the US development plan, if we're talking from, youth levels up to whenever you let them go, whether it's to college or whatever, what does that look like? Is it systematized where you guys are like, okay, at this age, we should be working on kind of these things? And how does that compare, if to the Canadian versus European styles?
Yeah, the Canadians, so being, new to the job, but have a pretty good understanding of the landscape. So a lot of what USA Hockey has done very, very well over, decades is studying, going to Russia. When Guerriero, who kind of started the whole, he's the icon, the godfather of USA Hockey. We're in constant collaboration with Finland, constant collaboration with Sweden, and figuring out, talking with them and seeing how they've been developing. And, the state of Massachusetts has the same amount of youth hockey players as Sweden.
Yeah, right.
And if we took our best players, our best 16-year-olds in Massachusetts and played the best 16-year-olds in Sweden, I think Sweden would probably give it to us. So why is that, right? So you scratch your head and you're like, why are they able to do that? So yes, there's been so much of the studying of these other countries to figure out, and we've done a lot of the modeling, and you could see a little bit of is when the ADM model, the American development model for USA Hockey came out in 2009. It was the whole small areas, and not just small area games, but the game is unscripted. And if we make practices scripted, where we're saying you go here, you go around that cone, well, in the game, the cones are going to move, right? And the game is unscripted. So we've got to make sure that from a development standpoint that we're allowing these kids to make decisions. And a lot of the strides that we've made for USA Hockey is collaborating with these other countries that it's worked for them. So it's like, whoa, and a lot of the models have come from soccer, from football in these European countries, and how they model their programs, and hockey has kind of modeled it in some of these European countries. So we're taking bits and pieces from everybody. It's like me as a college coach. I've worked or played for 29 different coaches. So I take little bits and pieces from all of them, what worked, what didn't work. So we're kind of doing the same thing. And we've done actually a very, very good job with USA Hockey and what, the path looks like and how we're able to organize our structure within a country. But again, we're not going to get comfortable, and we still have a lot of work to do, but it's, we study with these other countries a lot.
Yeah, that's interesting. So from a development standpoint, like I was having another conversation earlier today, and the word development is one of those terms where like it means nothing and it means everything depending on what you're talking about. So if we're talking about development, and maybe we can kind of keep it to the age of these kids that are here, or maybe even a little bit younger, what does development mean for these kids or for their parents they're trying to find the best way to get their kid to the next level, or the kid is trying to find the best way to get to the next level? So when you're talking about you need to make sure you're developing, what does that mean for you, like in your opinion? And then what should that mean in terms of these families and these kids deciding where they should go and play if they want to eventually be able to come and make it to see you one day?
Yeah. It's like one of those words like development, and people, the buzzwords, right? They come out, people talk about culture, and it's like, yeah, you can say all those things, but you truly know what, a successful culture looks like, or development. So, but for development, for me, a lot of it too, and for USA Hockey, a lot of it, what people forget about is stuff that is like outside the glass, like the adversity pieces of adversity and kids failing is a big part of development. And right now, with the climate where hockey is, and a lot of kids aren't present, and we're worried about jumping to the next, we're not focused on how we could be better today than we were yesterday. It's almost like, what team am I going to play for? Am I going to sign my NHL contract? What is my next contract? And I understand that we need to set goals, but development is being in the moment. And it's not just the skills. It's the guys that ultimately play for a long time in the NHL, or guys that find ways to play without the puck, guys that have a B game. Like, talent doesn't beat talent anymore. Like that we line everybody up on the goal line that's out here right now at this age. They're all going to look the same when they get through the red line. But now we throw a puck into the mix, like who can make plays, right? And it's developing our younger kids. And the thing is, with development for the younger kids, is like, a lot of coaches, I go into these clinics and they're doing drills that they were doing in 1980 as players. Well, that's not going to work with the 8-year-old right now. Like, times change. Like, people use email now. Like, it changes, and it's hard to accept change sometimes. And that's a big part of, like, for development is yes, I'm going into these clubs and I'm helping with development, and what's age appropriate for an 8-year-old. Right? What you're doing, like, people are doing power play breakouts with 8-year-olds. It's like, they're not even supposed to be playing full ice yet. They're not even focused on offsides yet. So that's a big piece of development, is making sure we're always focused on long player development. And the only way that's going to work is if we're doing age appropriate drills. And that's a big part of what happens when these kids get to 15, 16, 17 years old. if they're not working on those things at a younger age, eventually everybody can skate to that red line and look the same. So now who can play the game? Again, they're all talented kids. They could all skate. Everybody's big and strong. But as a country, we've got to keep focusing on the development piece of how to play without the puck. Because talent, everybody's talented. You watch the NHL, everybody's good. It's not back in the 90s when it's like, oh, we just get the big guy and then the small guys came into the game. It's like everybody can play. So for me, it's a lot of the development is what's age appropriate and make sure we're sticking to it and we're not just veering off because we did something in 1980. And that's a big part for me is coaching the coaches. So when I run a clinic in, Andover, Mass, we have 55 kids on the ice, but I have 26 coaches on the ice. And it's not a day off for them. So they come on the ice, I show what we're going to do, what the clinic is all about. And then the coaches, I say, you guys got a station, and then you're going to move from station to station because I'm going to leave. And it's you that's got to deliver the message now to these kids. Like the volunteers and the dads and some of the, coaches that coach played the game, but they never, just like me, never coached little kids. So how do I do that? What's age appropriate? What am I doing? And it's a perfect example is, so my son played 6U hockey this year for the Eagles in Massachusetts, which they play full ice, which is crazy, 6 years old. But we didn't play any of the games. We just practiced. And I'm not against full ice, but if it's the only thing you're doing at a young age, it's going to be really hard to move forward. So, but Patrice Bergeron, we all know Patrice Bergeron, was the other coach with me. And I found it fascinating that, and he's such a humble, I don't think anybody in the world everybody likes Patrice Bergeron. He said, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to coach my kid. And he's just a humble guy. And he's like, I took the classes online, like the level 1. He's like, I have a lot to learn. And this is a guy that's played, Stanley Cup, playing the NHL forever. And if he doesn't know how to coach 6 years old, that knows the game better than arguably anybody, there's so much room for growth for us teaching, like my dad who coached me, so it was very, I was amazed to hear him say that because he's like, I'm going to lean on you a little bit. And I'm like, lean on me? Yeah. Like I play in the American League,
yeah,
but
that's so funny.
So, but that's the part of development is that for us is that we're making sure that we're, as a country, we're educating our coaches and our players, like what is age appropriate and always, always, always with the mindset of what long player development is.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. That's a cool story.
Yeah, he's awesome. Like such a humble guy. But then on the other side of it, on the red line, you have I think it was 8U. Chara's, we share the same ice for practice. Chara's at the 8U.
Really?
And he's like running like breakouts, and I'm like grinding my teeth. But
that's awesome.
But they're passionate coaches.
Well, so as these kids kind of move up the ranks, like one of the themes we've been talking about here a lot is the eligibility change from kids can now jump into the CHL and vice versa. And I was listening to you speak last night. You were throwing out some stats on like what the numbers are looking like. So from a USA Hockey standpoint, from a development standpoint, where are you guys at in terms of, I don't know if necessarily retaining players is the right way of saying it because you want to move players on to higher levels and all that stuff, but what's the perspective from the USA Hockey standpoint and, still being a leader where, kids aren't trying to jump up into Canada to play necessarily, or is that part of the strategy where like you're happy to get those guys to go there to continue their development trek on their way to reach a higher level? Yeah, no, and it's such a interesting time, right? Like we were just talking offline there. It's like it could be changing right now. From a standpoint of us and Canada and major junior, I think it's great for hockey in general. I think it's really good for college hockey. I mean, time will tell a little bit of like these major junior kids that are going to come to college hockey. I think it's for a whole, I think it's great. For USA Hockey in general, I traveled to Bangkok and Thailand. I was in Brazil trying to educate those countries on learn to play hockey and grow hockey in general to the world. That's why we're in it. Of course, you're always going to have pride for your country, and we want our U.S. players to be the best and play on all these teams and have more players in the NHL. But as a whole, we want what's best for the game, right? And we're always trying to educate everybody about it. It's just such a weird, interesting, how it's going to all shake out. We said there's 141 kids committed as of yesterday.
from major, junior to colleges since the change of the rule, and 127 of them actually are Canadian, and I think only 10 are American, and then a couple Europeans. So, it's a little bit of a eye-opening in a sense of, wow, that was more Canadians. And it's not, I think, like I said, I think it's great for college hockey, but it also, I look at it as, all right, well, now they're going to start taking some jobs, which is fine. At the end of the day, best players are going to play. And do they all pan out in college hockey? I don't know. Time will tell. But I also think it's an opportunity for us as USA Hockey and our U.S. hockey players and coaches to say, we could be better, right? And it's not that, I mean, I love Canada. I got all my buddies that in college are from Canada, but there is that pride of, all right, well, now, as of today, Canada has just surpassed us with the most college commits as a whole. So 285 kids have committed to college since 9/1 of 2024. That's counting major, junior, and kids that have not played major, junior. And of those 280, not 285, Canada has committed 216, and the U.S. only has 179. So Canada just now has more commits.
There you go. Overnight, eh?
So and I don't know what that information means, but it just shows you that, hey, like, if we want to be 400 commits and Canada only has 200, we need to be better developing our younger players, right? So that's the exciting part for me. Again, I'm not going to see any results tomorrow, running the PK at Northeastern. You see results immediately. And for me, it's more of NUSA Hockey. It's the long player development. What we're doing now is going to shape the path of what these kids like in the NHL in 10, 15 years. So
yeah, interesting. Well, so I guess maybe we'll go last question. A lot of these kids that are here even at this event, they're questioning, where should I go? Like, where should I play? What's the league that I should play in? And, a lot of these kids are aware of the change as well. And it's like, what is the move in terms of trying to get the maximum amount of exposure, whatever that means. So from a playing standpoint, from a development standpoint, from an exposure standpoint, what would maybe your advice be to some of these kids that they're looking for a place to play? Like, simply put, where should I go? Like, what is the answer in your opinion to that kind of question, or what are the factors that they should consider?
It's a tough one. It's not that I mean, everything just changes, but it's hard for these kids. Like, there's just the sport's growing. It's hard. Like, it's hard to make it. The air gets thinner and thinner. Every year you get a little bit older. Like, there's someone that's trying to take your job. The saying is it's hard to stick in the NHL. The easy part's making it. The hard part is sticking, right? Making a career out of it, because someone's always going to be younger and better and trying to take your job. I think with and I've said this to some kids that we were recruiting, like, over the years of being a college coach, that asking that same question, like, where should I go? As the kids you can't hide anymore. Like, if you're a good player, there's enough advisors, coaches, we all know each other, the Instat, all these different, the internet, like, it's not like when I was playing, the coaches would be like, you get like a roadmap and go, and you could find some, you didn't even know who was playing, and you can find guys. There's no more of that. Is everybody, the good players are going to play in the appropriate spots. So for the players and the parents, if I get it, I want to play in the USHL. It's a great league. Why wouldn't you? But if you don't have any USHL teams calling you, and you have 15 NA, North American League teams calling you, that's probably your market. If you don't have any NA teams calling you, have NCDC teams calling you, that's probably your market where you should go. I'm not saying don't ever think about playing the USHL, because there's kids that go from the NCDC, NA to the USHL. There's always that growth in players, but a little bit of it is who's communicating to you, who wants you, right? Like, you want to go somewhere where they want you. Like, you want to go somewhere where you're going to play. And nothing drives me more insane when kids just make the jump from, say, prep school, and they could just go right to the USHL because it's the USHL and they want to say that they play in the USHL, but they almost have that off year. It almost stunts their growth of development for a full year, where I'm not saying you have to go to a place and dominate, but you got to be realistic with yourself too, of where you're at. And there's nothing to say that you won't end up in the USHL. But it's a little bit as just hearing of the coaches that are talking to you. Again, I would say to kids of the D1, D3 that wanted to play D1 and go to Brown, they're like, I have these 6 NESCAC schools talking to me. And I'm like, we're not in a position to commit you right now, but that to the parents, it's the ugly truth. I'm like, that might be your market. That might be where you should be. So that's what I usually say to the parents. Like, if you have all these USHL teams calling you, that's probably your market. Now you got to make some decisions of, where do you see me on the depth charts? What's it look like moving forward? Who's in, who's out? But yeah, that's how I would answer that question, I guess, is it's hard. There's so many places to play, but go somewhere where you're going to play, develop, have fun. It's still a game. We want to have fun, and who wants you?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think one of the nice things about actually getting down here, because Ryan had told me about this, like the event and kind of what to expect, but it's one thing talking about it, and then it's another thing to come down here and actually hear people like yourself give the actual information from someone who's been around. You've coached at these schools, and now you're with USA Hockey, and you're one of the people that they want to have come and talk to them.
Yeah,
so to be able to hear information from somebody like you or some of these other coaches that are here is just super, super valuable, which is really what makes this a super high-end event where they actually get to hear it right from you guys. So I appreciate you being a resource that people can listen to, and thanks for taking a couple minutes to chat here today.
It was awesome. Thank you.
Awesome, Jason. Thanks.